Hey Landon, sorry, it's been a long day. Mom said that you are rocking those IELTS skills. That makes me super happy. I just hope that you continue just to show her what all you can do because you are super stinking smart. And I am super stinking proud of you. Way to go, dude. Um, Today we just reviewed simplest form because it is so important since it just is going to stick with you from here on out. Um, so here's just some reminders that a fraction is in simplest form when its numerator and denominator have no common factor other than 1. The simplest form of a fraction is also equivalent to that fraction because we follow that golden rule. All right, and it tells you right here to write your fraction in simplest form, divide both the numerator and the denominator by the greatest common factor. The greatest common factor is the greatest of the common factors of 2 or more numbers. So this right here, these 3 steps sums up what it just told you here. When you're finding simplest form, find your factors. Circle the GCF and divide. You always have to divide. And remember, since we are following that golden rule with division, we're dividing the top and the bottom by the same number. That means that they are also equivalent. So, just a quick little review. I'm going to try and not make this video as long because I know it just gets boring sitting there. All right, so we're going to review simplest form. So simplest form, find your factors. So that's what we've got to do first. So my factors of 7 are 1 and 7. And if you'll remember that 7 is prime, you don't have to go through all of your numbers because it likes only 1 in itself. It's picky. Now my factors of 10 are 1 and 10 and 2 and 5. So you could try 3, but 3 doesn't work. You could try 4, that doesn't work. And 5 is already up there, so that's how we know that we're done. All right, so simplest form, find your factors. Then circle the GCF, the greatest common factor between these two numbers. So let's look and see, start on the right, because these are my larger numbers, and look down. And the only one that these two have in common is 1. Now, when that happens, you could divide, but guess what you're going to get? You're going to get that same fraction. So what that means is this is already in simplest form. So that's what you would type on your classwork. Okay, now let's work 8/10. Simplest form, find your factors. Factors of 8 are 1 and 8. 2 and 4. 3 doesn't work, and 4 is already up there. So we're done. My factors of 10, and you'll start to remember these after a while, are 1, 2, 5, and 10. All right, so now we're going to look towards the right and look back to the left. Start with our greatest and work our way down because we need to find that GCF, the greatest common factor. And for this one, that is 2. So this one's not in simplest form. So I need to divide. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 10 divided by 2 is 5. So 8/10 in its simplest form is 4/5. Just note that because I did follow that golden rule, I divided by the same number, top and bottom. 8/10 and 4/5 are equivalent. So simplest form is another way to determine if your fractions name the same amount, if they're equivalent. On your classwork, you're also going to have problems like this where they throw in some of the equivalent fractions. And all you got to do is double check that golden rule. Well, how can 3 change to 6? Times 2. All right, so if I said 3 times 2, then I have to do what times 2 to give me 8? 4. Very good. Now, you could simplify this 6/8. You would divide both of these by 2, and you would still get that 3/4 if you wanted to. But to me, if I can multiply like this, that's so much easier and not nearly as much of the hassle as simplifying. So now I have a huge tip, hint, trick, whatever you want to call it. I have one for you, because you're going to start to see fractions like this with 100 as the denominator. That's a really big fraction, right? A-math loves to use those really big fractions. So I'm going to give you a trick that will work with some of them, not all of them. So remember that anytime, like if I have a number and I stick a 0 on it on the end, that means that I am multiplying by 10. And then likewise, if I had a number and took off the 0, then I would be dividing by 10. Okay, you remember that? So if I see that my fraction has a numerator and a denominator that has a 0 on each end, I can divide by 10. Now, I'm not going to make you work it out and divide by 10. All you have to do is this. Simply draw through your zeros, mark them off. What you just did by marking out those zeros is the following steps. You said 20 over 100, and you said, okay, it's really big, so I'm going to start out dividing by 10. And what do you get? 2 tenths. So all of this work right here is done by just marking out both of those. So now, instead of having to write out your factors of 20 and your factors of 100, all you have to do is write out your factors of what's left, 2 tenths. All right, so my factors of 2 are 1 and 2 because it's prime. My factors of 10 are 1, 2, 5, and 10. And if you still need to do the rainbow, like 1 and 10, 2 and 5, do it, because I don't want you to skip any factors. Because most of the time, if we happen to forget one or skip them, it's usually the one that we need. So start from the right, look to the left, find my GCF, and then divide. Very messy division symbol. I'm sorry. Kind of looks like a plus sign, but it's not. 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 10 divided by 2 is 5. And so 21 hundredths in its simplest form is 1/5. Now, what my class wanted to do today is add a 0 back on the end of this, because that's what we do with multiplying. But no. We don't want to add that 0 on there, because the whole point is for us to simplify. So what we just did is this up here. I divided by 10 first, and then I found my factors and made this even smaller by dividing by that 2. So 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 10 divided by 2 is 5. So I want to keep it like that. I don't want to stick any zeros back on it, because we're dealing with fractions now, so things are a little different. But here is a little warning. If you have a fraction like 2/100ths, you can't just go and mark off this 0, because guess what? I don't have anything to mark off up there, and if you only do it to the bottom and you don't do it to the top, you just broke the golden rule, and that's not going to work. So you can only use this trick if you have 2 numbers on the top and the bottom. Or sorry, I didn't say that right. You can only use this trick if you have a 0 on the top and the bottom. Now, another trick with this is it really doesn't matter how many zeros you have. Let's say that I have 5,000 over 20,000. As long as my zeros, and this is why I like to mark them out this way, like I mark out that, because I have a 0 on top and a 0 on bottom. 0 on top, 0 on bottom, 0 on top, 0 on bottom. Now, here's the thing, though. I can't mark out this 0 because there's not one left to mark out on the top. I can only mark out 3 and 3 because of that golden rule. So now I'm left with 5/20ths, but what that means is now I've got to find my factors of 5 and my factors of 20. 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, and 20. And then I would divide by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So 5,000 20,000ths reduces to 1/4. And it looks like that would be really complicated, but if you use the zeros trick for your numerator and denominator, then it's going to help. Just always remember to follow the golden rule. If you can't mark off top and bottom zeros, then you can't use it. All right, so let's keep going forward. So let me check my time, see how I'm doing. Not too bad. I'm going to try and wrap it up here. You know what, Landon? I have these extra questions added onto here, but I think I'm going to end this lesson now so that you're not staring at a computer screen for even longer. And then I will attach this video to tomorrow's lesson just so we can talk about word problems and fractions because they are important, but it's just, I know it's been a lot, and I know that I have confidence that you are working hard for mom and dad, and so I'm going to end it right here, and I'm going to tell you that I love you, and I'm proud of you, and just keep up the good job, dude. Like, I'm looking forward to you coming back, making some awesome grades, and being able to move out of 4th with some A's, B's, C's, D's on that report card. Like, passing grades, that's what we want. Be good. Don't be too mean to Bradley or Tessie or Callie. You're a good brother. Bye, bud.